Okay, hello everybody. This is Christine, and I want to demonstrate for you my Nano-site. Before I jump into it, I just want to hop over here to my VM and talk a little bit about the setup for my application. I am running a LAMP stack on a VM using Oracle VirtualBox, as you can see here, and I've got my PHP and NIF file open as I had to make a number of changes to these configuration settings in order to be able to run my application. I ran into some issues remotely debugging my application because I do develop everything locally on my machine. So there are some changes in here that kind of account for those issues, and then there are some other changes that I've made to support file uploads. The first thing that I'm going to point out is this open base directory. This is, I believe, just set to the default currently, but this is the essentially the root directory where all of my PHP files live. I'm going to scroll down a little ways further here. I'm looking for another configuration setting that I had to modify in order to get file uploads to work. So that should just be a little bit further down here. It's this post max size. As you can see, it's the maximum size of post data that PHP will accept. So one of the issues that I was running into was that file sizes greater than 25 megabytes, that's the limit I've set in my application. They were failing silently, and the reason why is because this value here was set too low. And I found that I had to set this value higher than another value further down in order to be able to actually catch the max size issues in my PHP code, and then display a friendlier error message. So I've got this set to 35 megabytes currently. And I'm going to scroll down to this file section and just show you that I've got file uploads turned on, that I've got this upload temp directory set up to point to this location. So this directory absolutely has to be set up ahead of time in order for file uploads to work. And what's happening is I upload files here first, and then I move them into a different directory, and I'll walk through that in just a second. Here's that other setting I was talking about, the upload max file size. This I also needed to tweak in order to support files up to 25 megabytes in size, and then handle those max file size errors that I was encountering. I have it set here to 30 megabytes, even though I'm only supporting as much as 25 in my application, and that's just to give me a little bit of breathing room. And then I've got this max file uploads set to 20, although I only support as many as 10 uploads at a time. I'm going to scroll down a little ways further here. I haven't really done anything more. I played with email for a little bit, but couldn't get it to work, so I haven't done anything more with that. I kind of considered it outside the scope of this particular project. Now I'm going to scroll all the way to the end, and these are my remote debugging configuration settings. This is what I had to do in order to get remote debugging to work from my local machine. And I did find that I also had to SSH tunnel into my Ubuntu server. This is what's going on over here. That was just so that I could get my debugger to start up. So I'm going to close out this file, and then I'm going to show you what the directory structure looks like. Okay, so here's that root directory I was talking about before. You can see all of my PHP files are located here, in addition to that temp files directory that I was talking about. And there's also another folder here called uploaded files that's highlighted, and that's where all of my files are ultimately landing. And I've pulled up the permissions here to show you how I've modified the permissions for the temp files folder and the uploaded files folder One issue that I ran into was the application uses this www-data service account, and it couldn't upload files to this directory, and it couldn't create new directories. So my workaround for the time being was to first create both of these directories and then to change the permissions on them so that when files get uploaded, this service account can move the file from this temp files location to the uploaded files location and put them in their respective directories. So I'm just pulling that up right now. When an account is first created, I add a user folder to this directory here. So that's going to happen each and every single time an account is created. And then as files are uploaded, hop in here. They go into their respective document type folders. I'm not storing file paths in a database at all. I'm actually dynamically creating those in PHP to determine where a file is located. And then you'll notice I've also got this shared files directory here. This is how I'm actually sending and receiving files in between different users in the application. So I'm going to come back down here to my root directory just to make things a little bit cleaner. Then I'm going to start up MySQL and show you what I've got going on there. Oops. It would help if I logged in with the right password. Okay, so let's take a look at the databases that I've got here. And I'm using the collection database for this application. And then I'm going to show you the tables that I've got in here. So I've got several different tables that I'm using to run my application. I have normalized the data, so the data is kind of distributed across multiple tables, like this document covers this table, the extension table, and the type table, and also the user table. And the same is the case for some of these other tables as well. But I'm going to hop out of here and I'm going to jump over to another tool that I'm using. So being a database developer in my primary work, this is more the kind of environment that I'm used to working in. This is MySQL Workbench. This is where I've been managing all of my MySQL objects. All of my tables here you can see are on the left. When I click on them, I get some more information about them. I've got a query pulled up here that's just getting all of the data from the document table. So I do have one existing user in the application already, and I've uploaded several documents for that user. You can see that by this upload by column here, and I've done that just to make the demonstration a little bit easier. The other thing that I've got going on here, I've got a whole bunch of stored procedures, and basically what these are doing are they're performing my CRUD operations within my SQL server. And it's something that we do a lot at my job. It's to make the queries perform a little bit better. You can actually cache query execution plans and make these queries run a little bit faster. We also do it for security reasons. As far as I understand, it helps to prevent from SQL injection. So that's kind of what's going on with these stored procedures here. I've pulled one up, the add user one, that shows you I just take a few parameters and then I insert a record into a database. So I'm going to hop over here now to my NetBeans environment. I'm using NetBeans 10.0, and I've got my Nano-site project already open and my header file open. So I'm following the example of the Robin's Nest application in the book where it uses a header file all across each of its individual PHP files. And this header file is really doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as my application is concerned. So it's checking post values and redirecting, as you can see from something like this header function here, or else it's calling different functions and doing different things. So on the left here, you can see I've got several different folders, and then of course my PHP files. My Ajax folder's got all my get and post functions in it. My app folder's got my configuration settings. My documents folder's got this README doc that I would provide deployment instructions to users in. I haven't done anything with it currently. I have committed my code to Git. It is available publicly, but I do need to add some information here. And then I've got my JavaScript file, which is folder, which is pretty self-explanatory. There's all my JavaScript files. My media is all of the images that I'm using. My models are all of my PHP classes. So I've got a collection class, a database class, and so on and so forth. And what's nice about these PHP classes, you can come over here to this navigator pane, and you can actually easily locate some of these methods. So there's also this resources folder. These are functions that I might use throughout the application that don't require any object instantiation. These are things like check for existing accounts, or check for existing email, or create accounts. Yeah, I might use these throughout my application for various things. I've also got authentication, database maintenance, file maintenance, and sanitize using some of the suggestions in the Nixon text to build these. And then I've got my external CSS in my style sheets folder. That just looks exactly like you would expect it to. And then I do also have some internal CSS scattered throughout my code here. As you can see, I've got a whole bunch here in my header file. This HTML code here displays essentially a navigation pane at the top of a window when a user is logged in. It's something common to many of the pages. And then I've got links to my style sheet here, or links to jQuery CDNs. I've got a jQuery plugin that I'm using called Data Tables, and then I've got links to all of my JavaScript sources. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and launch the application, and I want to launch it from this index page because I want to show you how it is redirecting to the login page when you first launch it. And what's happening behind the scenes here is that I'm checking to see if a user is logged into the system already, and if a user is not logged in, then I am just automatically redirecting that user back to the login page. So it's taking a minute to get started up here. My computer's running a bit slow, but there you go. So we've now landed on the login page as expected. And that's where you normally log into the site, but we're going to assume that we don't have a login yet, and we're going to go ahead and create an account. So what's happening on this page is actually I'm going to start with an email address that's already taken. I'm doing some Ajax calls in the background to check for valid email addresses. So I'm going to provide some information that's already, some account information that's already been taken. As you can see, there are now some messages over here to the right that's saying the email's taken, username's taken. If we went ahead and tried to submit at this point, what's going to happen is we're going to get an error down below. Again, it looks like my computer is running a bit slow right now, so we'll give it just a second here. Okay, so there we go. We got an error message that says that there is already an account associated with mistyvesper@gmail.com. Please try again. So let's go ahead and create a new account. I'm going to go with my daughter. This is not her actual email, so but but she brings me luck, so I thought I would try using her as an example here and make this presentation even more confusing, I think, at times. So you may have noticed that there were hints that popped up as I was typing. That's just to provide the user with a little bit of guidance as they move through the form. But now we've got valid entries for each of these fields, so we're going to go ahead and submit this. Okay, so now, as you might expect, we can see that the account was created successfully, and it's landed us on this page, giving us the option to go back to the login page and actually log into the application. So I'm going to go ahead and log in now, just to test to see if that account was set up correctly. Okay, so yes, it's still going slow, still a little bit of a lag there, but I am now logged into the site, as you can see. And you'll notice up here in the top left, there's this person icon and this text that says that I'm signed in as Colette Mahler. I've also got a logout option over here to the right. I've got the title of the sites, Nanodocs, and various options up here in the corner, which if you hover over will tell you kind of what those things do. We'll dig more into that shortly, but I want to call your attention right now to this section here. This is your own personal documents library, so no other users have access to this this library here, and this is probably where you'll do the majority of your work, either sharing documents with other users, adding documents to public collections, updating, deleting. We've also got a search bar here, a clear search option, and upload documents, as you might expect. And then this table here is going to display all of our document information, but since we don't have any documents currently, there's obviously no information there. And then these buttons down here are disabled. So let's go ahead and upload a document to the site. All right. We're now on the upload documents page, and you'll see that I only support doc, docx, PDF, and text file types less than 25 megabytes in size. So the very first thing that I want to demonstrate is just what happens when you try to upload a file that's too large. So if I can pull that up, I've got a sample file already. You can see that it's a little over 27 megabytes in size, and we're going to go ahead and try uploading that. Okay, just taking its time, thinking. All right, there we go. So it displays an error, as you would expect. The document is too big. It's exceeded the max file size. Please try a different file. So one thing that I've also done on this page is I've given users the ability to be able to upload multiple documents at a time. And the way that you do that is just by adding additional documents here. So I've gone ahead and just added a few here to demonstrate how that works. It will let you add as many as 10 at a time, but we're just going to go with 3 for the time being. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just add a few documents here. We'll just select some random document types. Okay, so we've got a good selection now. I'm going to go ahead and say upload. All right, says the file upload was successful, and it's automatically redirecting back to this page. And we can see that this table is now populated with information. We see the documents that we uploaded. We were expecting them to land here, so that's now the case. And we've got a number of input fields that we can provide additional information in, and then some additional document information, what extension type it is, what size, upload date. And then we've also got this download option over here. For each of the documents, I've actually made it possible to be able to download the document to your own file system. So that's what you can do here. The other thing that I would talk about as far as this page is concerned is I'm using I had mentioned it before. I'm using a jQuery plugin in order to render these tables. Their data tables is the data table plugin, and what that gives me the ability to do is to add paging to the table, to be able to display more entries per page. And these also come with search and sorting built into them. But I found that I had some difficulty with them being able to interpret these input fields. And since I wanted to give my users the ability to update these documents within the table itself, I had to build my own PHP functions in order to handle search and sorting. So I'm going to demonstrate the search right now, if my computer will cooperate. What's happening behind the scenes, I'm doing some AJAX calls on key press events, and it's automatically filtering my my table for me. And what's really nice about the search function that I've built here is that I've made it stackable so that you can continue to search based on previous search values and just stack up your search values like this. And we could even search for another one that's not in the results below. Okay, so now we see no data is in the table as we might expect, and that's kind of how the search functionality is working. I'm going to go ahead and clear that out and get our documents back. And now what I'm going to walk through are some of the other functions that are available here. So one of these things is the ability to update documents. You'll notice the second that I started typing, this update button became enabled, and we can actually come in here and change some things in the document, and then we can go ahead and just say update. And we'll get this message now that the document we have modified has now been updated. And we see that document down here. The next thing I'm going to demonstrate is that you can come in here and click one of these documents, and it automatically enables these buttons below. And it gives you the option to share, add to public collection, or else delete a document. So the delete is relatively straightforward. That's just going to delete the document that you selected. You can see that there's a message now displayed that says that the document has been deleted. I'm going to now show you what the sharing function looks like. So what this gives you is the ability to share documents between different users. You select your documents and click share, and it lands you on this page, which is the share documents page or send message page. It kind of serves a couple of different functions. And you'll notice that this share with drop down up here doesn't have any values in it. One of the reasons why that is the case is because I really wanted to incentivize the friends component to this site. So I made it only possible to share documents with other friends. So this field is going to be empty since we're a new user and we don't have any friends yet. You'll also notice a subject field and a message field. Neither of these require any text whatsoever in order for the message to be sent. And then down below, I've got this attachments table. It's again another data table. And it's got the documents that we had selected from the previous page. I did add some delete and add buttons to this to give users the ability to dynamically modify this list. So I went ahead and deleted one document. We can come back here and we can re-add it. So that was this one. We're going to go ahead and say, let's add it again. Okay. So everything's still going really, really slow. I wish it was performing a little bit better, but I can't really do anything about that right now. So if we tried to send this message without a recipient, what we would probably expect is that we would get an error. So let's just demonstrate that now. And sure enough, you must enter a valid user to share these documents. Please try again. So we can't go any further with this particular components of the site until we actually make some friends. So let's go do that. I just clicked this Manage Friends button up here, and it lands us now on this View All Friends page with this empty data table, since of course we have no friends. So I'm gonna come over here to this View All Users option, and I see now that there's one other user in the system, C. Mahler, being Colette Mahler. That's Colette's mom, myself. So, like I said, gonna make things confusing, but from what you can see here, you can actually send a friend request to other users in the system. So before I do that, point out some things about this data table. We've got sorting actually enabled on this table. If there were more values, I could demonstrate that for you. And then you'll also notice that it's got this search box here. So this is native to the data table plugin, but we can't really do anything more with it just now. I'll show you how that works in just a minute. So I sent the friend request. You can see it's been sent to C. Mahler. We can come over here to this View Messages section, and if we hop over to Sent Messages, we should see a message in our outbox that's directed to C. Mahler. It's a new friend request. It's not yet been read, and this is the date and time on which it's been shared. So I am using military time here. I'm going to actually view the content of this message. You can see it's just the same as before, but now I've got this message here that says Colette Mahler wants to be your friend. Do you accept? Our only option at this point is to just close the message. So I'm going to close this message, and then I'm going to log out, and I will log back in as the C. Mahler user, and show you what it looks like on that side. All right, so here we've got a lot more documents in this table here. You can kind of see how paging works. It's very clean, very smooth. I'm very happy with that feature. I'm going to come over here to this messages area, and I can see already in this received messages that I've received a new friend request from Colette Mahler. I'm going to go ahead and view that message. And this is what we see, much like what we saw before, except there are two new options down below. We've got accept and ignore. And then, of course, this option to close a message. One thing that I didn't point out on the previous page is that it comes in as unread, and then once you've viewed the message, it changes the read status to read. So that is one thing that's happening there. Okay, so being Colette's mom, I'm gonna assume that I don't know who this person is. Somebody is impersonating my daughter, and I am going to ignore the friend request because I don't trust this person. So I'm just gonna demonstrate what that looks like really quickly. Okay, so what happens when you ignore a friend request is it just automatically deletes the message from your inbox and effectively ignores the friend request. That's obviously not going to work for demonstration purposes, so I'm going to hop over to the Colette Mahler account again, and I am going to resend that friend request. Like, Mom, what's going on? Why didn't you accept? So assuming that we had that conversation ahead of time, oops, I went to the wrong section here. We'll hop back over to the View All Friends, View All Users, and then we're going to resend this friend request. Okay, so the friend request has been sent. We come over here to View Messages. We can see that it was sent. If we look at our sent messages, we've got this one that's now been read, and then this new one that was sent to C. Mahler at this time. So 3 minutes have elapsed since we did that. Let's log out of this account now, and let's go log back in as C. Mahler. Okay, we're logged back in, and then let's go actually accept that friend request now. All right, we'll say view. And we're gonna go ahead and accept. All right, it displays this message that says you have accepted. And one thing that I toyed with doing here was automatically deleting this message, much like I do on ignores, but I decided to not do that for the time being. So you will still have the message in your inbox when after you accept a friend request. I can show you though how you can delete received messages here. Okay, so that message was successfully deleted. Let's go take a look at our friends again, and we should see a new entry here. Yes, we do. That we are now friends with Colette Mahler. We can send Colette a message as well. So I'm going to say, hi, Colette. Hello from your mom. Okay. So I'm not going to do anything more here, but you could also add documents to this message. I'm just going to go ahead and click send. So once your message has been sent, it automatically redirects you back to the home page, which is a good opportunity now for us to log out and log back in as that Colette Mahler user. Okay, and before I go too much further, let's just verify on this side that we are now friends with C. Mahler. And yes, we can see that here. We could also hop over to our view messages section, and we could see that we received this, this new message from C. Mahler. We view it. This is the information that we have. Okay. So I'm going to come back here to the home page and demonstrate now the sharing capabilities. So let's try to share these documents once more. We notice that we now have a name showing up in this recipient's dropdown, and that's because we do have a friend. We're not loners anymore, and we would be able to see more values here if we had more friends in the system, but since we don't, we'll just go with that one for now. And then I'm going to send another message to C. Mahler, just including these documents. So you can see that we've got them attached here. We've got subject message. Let's go ahead and let's say this is a test message. And let's go ahead and just send this. Okay, so once again, it redirects you back to this home page. The message was sent. We could come over here to the sent messages, and we could quickly see that that message went out okay. It's still marked as unread. We can view the content of the message. And we can see down here the attachments that we included, and we even have an option to be able to download documents that we have sent. So this was a little tricky to achieve, being able to access documents that have been sent and received, and to have deletes on them not impact the other user. So I've done some things in the file management system that maybe aren't the cleanest solution, but at least work for the purposes of this application. And I would be interested to explore better ways of doing it in the future. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as is. And I'm going to come back here to this homepage and demonstrate for you now what adding documents to a public collection looks like. Okay, so I tried to add documents to a public collection, and this is the page that I get. No collections are available. Please visit this page to create a collection. So let's go ahead and do that. And in essence, what public collections are, they're just a way to make a grouping of documents available to all users within the system. But one thing that I thought about as I was doing it was I wanted to give users the ability to manage these collections, to be able to delete them and add to them and remove documents from them. But I didn't want to give all users that capability. So what I've done here is I have added an additional piece of information, this owner information, that will actually toggle the enabled status of a collection, or of a delete button. So this delete button will only be enabled if this signed in user is the owner of this collection. So you can see that Colette Mahler is the owner, and she does have the ability to delete the collection. So let's just demonstrate what that looks like. Okay, so that went away. Let's re-add it. Okay, so we've got it back. We've got another option down here to be able to actually view a collection. We're going to go ahead and do that. And when you view a collection, we're not expecting any documents in here, of course, because we have not yet added any. So that's going to be the next thing that we will want to try to do. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to say add. And what that does is it lands us back in our My Documents library, and we can again select these documents and say add to public collection. Okay, and now this page shows a form, and it shows a drop down up here that gives us collections to select from. So since there's only one collection to select from, we're just going to go with that one. We do also have the ability to add and remove documents from this page, and then once we've made all the edits that we would like to do, we go ahead and say add to collection. Okay, so now on this page you see that that this is our test collection, what we were looking at before, and it's got one document in here. We've got a download and delete option. Again, this delete option will be enabled if the signed in user is the owner of the collection. Otherwise, nobody will be able to delete the documents from here. And then we do also have this download option, much like I've done elsewhere. We can actually download the file to your own file system. So I don't think there's really anything more to point out here. I wish that there was more information in here. I could show you how the sorting and the searching works. In fact, let's go back to our home page, and we're going to add one more really quickly. We'll go ahead and do that. Say add to collection. Okay, so now we've got two documents in here. You can see how the sorting works. It's really very clean, very smooth. I'm really very happy with it. And then we've also got this searching, which is a lot faster than my Ajax stuff, but doesn't have the ability to actually stack those search values. So I'm going to close out this test collection. What it does is it lands us back on this page, and we can continue to add more collections or delete things. But I'm going to go back here to the home page and see if there's anything that we've missed. So I think we've covered everything up here. Covered the search, the clear search, upload documents, the data table, kind of how that works, downloads, you know, all of these options down here. So I think we've covered this entire page. I'm going to come over here to manage friends and see again if there's anything we missed. We've got the ability to actually delete friends if we would like to do so. I'm going to go ahead and just show you really quickly what that looks like. So when you delete a friend, it says you have now ended your friendship with C. Mahler, and there's no values in the table, much like we would expect. So nothing more to really point out here. Our view all users, again, looks pretty familiar. So we've already looked at this before. The only option really you have on this page is to send a request. So I think we've covered that section. Let's take a look at manage collections. I think we covered this section in pretty good detail. So just to add and delete and view collections. We'll come over here to view messages. Okay, so this looks pretty familiar too. I already talked about this. You know, There are a number of different things that you can do here. You can view message, you can delete your messages, you can sort them. If there were more records in here, that would be more useful to us. And then this attached number also shows how many attachments are included, and we saw that over here where there were 2 documents attached to it. So you can also delete sent messages and manage your folder here, and that shouldn't have any impact on the recipient. Actually, we could probably demonstrate that if I went to delete this document or this message here, and if we log out really quickly and log in as CMauler, we should still be able to see it in our received messages. So we'll come over here. And sure enough, it's still there. So if you delete something from your sent or from your received, it has no impact on the other side of things. So let's just log back in as Colette Mahler. And then I think the only thing that remains to be seen is this manage profile section. So this is just very, very simple. I didn't do a whole lot of stuff here, but what I have given users the ability to do is to update their username, their email, their first name, and their last name. So if we wanted to do something to that effect, let's go ahead and just add a 1 to that. So I'll show you what's happening here. Okay, so your profile has been updated. You'll notice that all of these fields are now updated. They're automatically populated with the values that are coming from the database. And you can see that up top here, it's now showing that you're signed in as Colette Mahler 1. So your profile has been effectively updated. And then here also you have the ability to update your password. You do have to provide your old password and then enter your new password twice in order to be able to update it. So let's go ahead and do that. And we can see your password has been successfully updated. So let's come back here to the home page. I don't think that there's anything more to cover here. I think we've covered everything. I wanted to make this site as flexible as possible. Initially, I had thought that I would add another use case to it to be able to add and remove types, but but I just didn't get that far. So this is my Nano-site. This is Nano-docs, and I hope you guys really enjoyed the demonstration, and I look forward to seeing your demonstrations as well. Thanks.